My parents gave me an envelope at my graduation dinner. Inside was a disownment letter, so I gave them one back. My $6.2 million exit contract. The envelope slid across white linen like a death sentence wrapped in ceremony. My mother's diamond ring caught the restaurant's amber light as her fingers released it. My sister Olivia leaned in from across the table, phone angled perfectly, pretending this was a moment worth preserving. The string quartet in the corner hesitated mid-note. Even the waiters seemed to sense something breaking. I stared at that envelope, cream-colored, embossed with our family crest, the kind of paper that costs more than most people's grocery bills. "Open it, sweetheart," my mother said. Her voice was silk over glass. I should have known then, the way my father wouldn't meet my eyes, the way Olivia's smile didn't reach past her teeth, the way the entire restaurant suddenly felt like a stage I hadn't auditioned for. Inside wasn't a graduation card. Inside wasn't money or a sentimental letter about how proud they were. Inside was a document, legal, typed, signed by all three of them. "We, the undersigned, hereby release and relinquish all familial obligations and ties with Evelyn Margaret Castellano, effective immediately." My graduation present was my own disownment. The room didn't spin. My hands didn't shake. I just sat there, the paper cooling between my fingers, and thought about something my grandmother once told me. The quietest people aren't weak. They're just waiting. I folded the letter once, twice, set it beside my untouched champagne. Then I reached into my bag and pulled out my own envelope. "Funny," I said. "I brought one for you too." Growing up in the Castellano house was like living inside a museum where only certain pieces were worth preserving. Our home in Riverside, Connecticut looked like something from Architectural Digest, all glass and steel and deliberate emptiness. My mother, Victoria, collected art the way other people collected stamps, obsessively, expensively, without any real connection to what she owned. My father, Richard Castellano, built his empire in commercial real estate. He measured everything in ROI, return on investment, including his children. Olivia was the investment that paid dividends. I was the expense that never quite balanced. We were only 2 years apart, but the distance between us was measured in more than time. It was measured in attention, in praise, in the way our parents' voices changed when they said our names. "Olivia's interning at Sotheby's this summer," my mother would announce at dinner parties, her hand resting proudly on my sister's shoulder. "She has such an eye for value." Then she'd glance at me, her smile thinning, and Evelyn's still figuring things out. Still figuring things out, as if my double major in data science and economics was a hobby, as if my 3.9 GPA was a happy accident. I started seeing the pattern when I was 12. It was Olivia's birthday. The house was full of people, business associates, family friends, the kind of guests who arrived in drivers and left in the same cars, barely touching the catered food. I'd spent weeks building a jewelry box for her. Real wood, hand-carved, with a secret compartment I'd designed myself. I was so proud of the tiny brass hinges I'd found at an antique shop, the way the lid opened without a sound. When she opened it, she smiled. "That's sweet, Ev. Very crafty." My parents bought her a car, not just any car, a vintage Mercedes convertible restored, with a bow the size of a person tied to the hood. The guests rushed outside. Cameras flashed. Olivia cried actual tears. My jewelry box sat on the gift table, buried under wrapping paper. That night, I found it in the donation pile. I learned to stop expecting different outcomes. That's what patterns are for. They teach you what's reliable. By high school, the distance had calcified into routine. Olivia forgot her biology homework. My mother wrote an excuse note and emailed the teacher personally. I forgot mine once in sophomore year. I got a lecture about responsibility that lasted through dinner. Olivia wanted riding lessons. My parents bought her horse and paid for a private stable. I wanted to attend a coding camp at MIT. "That's expensive, Evelyn. Are you sure you would even enjoy it?" I paid for it myself. Babysitting money saved over 8 months. When I got accepted, my mother said, "Well, I hope it's worth it." It was. The cruelty wasn't loud. It was never loud. It came in small surgical cuts. The kind that don't bleed immediately. Family photos where I stood at the edge of the frame. Half lit, half seen. holiday dinners where my achievements were mentioned in passing, then drowned by Olivia's latest gallery opening or charity gala. I won a national data science competition my junior year. The prize was $10,000 and a feature in Wired magazine. My mother's response via text, "That's wonderful, honey. Can you pick up Olivia from the airport? Her flight lands at 6. No congratulations at dinner. No frame for the magazine, just a request to serve. I stopped competing for their attention around 17. Not because I gave up, because I realized something more important. I didn't need their validation to build something real. While Olivia learned which wine paired with which cheese, I learned Python, SQL, and machine learning frameworks. While she perfected her Instagram aesthetic, I built predictive models that could forecast market trends with 89% accuracy. I didn't tell them about any of it. Why would I? They'd already decided what I was worth. By the time college applications rolled around, I knew exactly what would happen. Olivia applied to Parsons School of Design. My parents paid the full tuition up front, bought her an apartment in Manhattan, hired an interior designer to make it feel like home. I applied to Carnegie Mellon's School of Computer Science. Arguably, harder to get into than Parsons, definitely more expensive. When my acceptance letter arrived, I opened it alone in my room. The thick envelope, the congratulations, the financial aid breakdown showing I'd need to cover $48,000 a year after scholarships. I walked downstairs. My parents were in the living room, reviewing gallery contracts with Olivia. "I got into Carnegie Mellon," I said. My father looked up briefly. "That's good, Evelyn. Have you looked into loans?" My mother added, without looking away from the contract. "You're so independent. You'll figure it out." Olivia smiled sympathetically. "Student loans aren't that bad, Ev. Everyone has them." "Not everyone, just me." That night, I sat at my desk and opened a spreadsheet. I calculated every scholarship I could apply for, every part-time job I could work, every corner I could cut. I made a promise to myself, quiet and absolute. I would never ask them for money, ever, and I never did. Carnegie Mellon's campus was a different world. Colder, sharper, the kind of place where brilliance wasn't optional. It was baseline. I loved it. While other freshmen decorated their dorms and went to frat parties, I was building something in the shadows. Not out of bitterness, out of necessity. I worked 3 jobs that first year: night shifts at the university library, shelving books, cleaning study rooms, resetting computers, 12-hour quiet work. I liked the rhythm of it, the way silence felt productive instead of punishing. Research assistant for Professor Andrea Kwan. She taught algorithmic economics and had a grant studying supply chain optimization. 15-hour plus academic credit. So she was the first professor who treated me like a colleague instead of a student. Freelance data analysis. I built models for small businesses through Upwork. Anything from predicting customer churn to optimizing delivery routes. 25 toes at 50-hour depending on complexity. Between classes, work, and 4 hours of sleep, I had no social life. I didn't care. Every dollar I earned went into a separate account I labeled Exit Fund. I didn't know what I'd need it for yet. I just knew I'd need it. Olivia, meanwhile, posted Instagram stories from rooftop bars in Soho. Her captions were always the same flavor of aspirational nonsense. Grateful for this journey. My mother commented on every single one. "So proud of you, darling." I never posted anything. What would I even say? Grateful for the 2 a.m. shift and surviving on vending machine coffee. The idea came to me during my junior year. Professor Kwan had been working with a logistics company, struggling to optimize their delivery fleet. They were hemorrhaging money on fuel, late deliveries, missed time windows. Classic inefficiency problem. She asked if I wanted to take a crack at it. I built a model. Not just any model. A neural network that could predict traffic patterns, optimize routes in real time, and reduce fuel consumption by an average of 14%. When I presented it to her, she was quiet for a long time. "Evelyn," she finally said, "this isn't a class project. This is a product." "What do you mean?" "I mean, you just built something companies would pay 6 figures for." That conversation changed everything. I started researching patent law, intellectual property, how to incorporate, how to pitch to investors. I recruited 2 classmates I trusted, Marcus Chen, A CS major who could code faster than anyone I'd ever met, quiet, methodical, didn't waste words. Priya Sharma, a design student who understood user experience like it was a second language. We called it root flow. For the next 8 months, we worked every night. Marcus handled the back-end infrastructure. Priya designed the interface. I refined the algorithm and built the business model. We launched a beta version with 3 small logistics companies in Pittsburgh. Within 2 months, all 3 reported 18% reduction in fuel costs, 22% faster delivery times, 31% improvement in customer satisfaction. The data was undeniable. Spring of senior year, Carnegie Mellon held its annual startup showcase, a pitch competition where student founders presented to investors, venture capitalists, and corporate scouts. I wasn't going to enter, imposter syndrome maybe, or just exhaustion. Professor Kwan submitted our application without telling me. When I found out, I nearly withdrew. Evelyn, she said, you've spent 4 years being invisible. Just this once, let them see you. The day of the showcase, I wore the only blazer I owned, a thrift store find I'd tailored myself. Marcus and Priya flanked me as we walked into the auditorium. 200 people in the audience, 12 judges at the front table. When they called root flow, my hands were shaking. I walked on stage, the lights were blinding. But the second I started talking about the algorithm, the nerves evaporated. I showed them the data, the pilot results, the scalability model. I explained how root flow wasn't just about efficiency, it was about fairness. Smaller companies could compete with giants. Drivers could get home earlier. Carbon emissions could drop. When I finished, the room was silent. Then one of the judges stood up. Nathan Frost, CEO of North Point Logistics. Miss Castellano, he said, that was the most compelling pitch I've seen in 5 years of judging this event. Applause erupted. We won first place, $25,000 in seed funding and meetings with 3 major firms. But the real moment came 2 weeks later. An email from Nathan Frost's office. Ms. Castellano, North Point Logistics would like to discuss an acquisition offer for route flow. Please contact us at your earliest convenience to schedule a formal meeting. I read it 3 times. Then I called Marcus and Priya. They want to buy it, I said. Marcus, how much? They didn't say yet. Priya, when's the meeting? Next week. We sat in silence, the weight of it settling. Ev, Marcus finally said, whatever happens that we built something real. I nodded. Yeah, we did. North Point Logistics occupied 3 floors of a glass tower in downtown Pittsburgh, the kind of building where even the elevators felt expensive. Nathan Frost met us in a conference room that overlooked the river. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a table so polished I could see my reflection in it. He was younger than I expected, maybe 40. Sharp suit, sharp eyes. Thank you for coming, he said. Let's not waste time. We've run our own analysis of root flow. Your model works. More than that, it's elegant, scalable, defensible. He slid a folder across the table. We'd like to acquire route flow outright. Intellectual property, code base, branding. In exchange, we're prepared to offer the following. I opened the folder. $6.2 million. My hands didn't shake. I'd practiced this. That's the top line. Nathan continued. Here's the structure. $4.8 million upfront, split between the 3 of you according to equity. $1.4 million in performance bonuses tied to integration milestones over 2 years. Priya glanced at me. Marcus kept his face neutral. Nathan wasn't finished. We're also offering you a position. Director of Data Operations. Salary, $140,000 base. Equity package in North Point. You'd lead the integration, then build out our predictive analytics division. I looked at the numbers again. After taxes and splits, my share would be roughly $2.1 million. More money than my parents had ever given me. More money than I'd ever imagined having. Can we have 48 hours? I asked. Nathan smiled. Of course. But Evelyn, I'll be honest, we're talking to 2 other firms with similar models. If you want this, don't wait too long. That night, the 3 of us sat in Marcus's apartment, takeout containers spread across his coffee table. It's a good offer, Marcus said. Better than good. Priya nodded. And the job offer is insane, Ev. Director level out of college. I stared at the contract, highlighted sections glowing under the desk lamp. What if we say no? I asked. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Why would we? Because once we sell, it's not ours anymore. Priya leaned forward. Ev, we build this in dorm rooms and libraries. We don't have the infrastructure to scale it ourselves. North Point does. She was right. I knew she was right. But part of me, some small stubborn part, didn't want to let go. Ev, Marcus said quietly, this is the win. Take it. I signed the next morning. By the end of the week, the contracts were finalized. The money hit our accounts, $2.1 million. I transferred half into a trust, a quarter into investments. The rest stayed liquid. For the first time in my life, I had security, real security, the kind that didn't depend on anyone's approval but my own. I didn't tell my family. Not about route flow, not about the acquisition, not about the job offer. Why would I? They'd never asked about my projects, never asked about my classes, never asked about anything that mattered to me. Graduation was 2 weeks away. My mother called once during that time. Evelyn, darling, we've made reservations at Maison Lumière for your graduation dinner. The 4 of us. It'll be lovely. Sounds good, I said. Olivia's so excited. She's bringing her new camera. She wants to document everything. Of course she did. Great, I said. See you then. When I hung up, I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness, just a strange, hollow clarity. They thought this dinner was a formality, a closing ceremony for the child they'd already written off. They had no idea I'd already written my own ending. Maison Lumière was exactly the kind of restaurant my mother loved. Overpriced, overdesigned. The type of place where the menu didn't list prices and the waiters moved like ballet dancers. I arrived exactly on time. My family was already seated at a corner table beneath a crystal chandelier. My mother in pearls, my father in a tailored suit. Olivia in something white and flowing, her camera resting on the table like a prop. Evelyn, my mother stood, kissed the air beside my cheek. You look nice. Thanks. My father nodded. Good to see you. Olivia smiled. Congrats, Ev. Big day tomorrow. I sat down. A waiter appeared instantly, poured water into crystal glasses that probably cost more than my first laptop. The conversation was light, polite, practiced. My mother talked about a charity auction she was organizing. My father mentioned a new development project in Stamford. Olivia showed photos from a recent shoot in the Hamptons. No one asked about my thesis, my job offer, my plans. I didn't offer. Halfway through the appetizers, my mother's tone shifted. Evelyn, she said, setting down her fork, your father and I have been talking. Here it comes. You're graduating tomorrow, starting a new chapter, and we think it's time we all move forward. Move forward, I repeated. Yes, she smiled. We've watched you grow into such an independent young woman. You've never needed us the way Olivia has, and that's wonderful, it really is. My father cleared his throat. What your mother's trying to say is, we think it's time to formalize that independence. Olivia was filming now. Phone angled discreetly, but I saw the red light. My mother reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. Cream-colored, embossed, she slid it across the table. From all of us, she said. I stared at it. Open it, Olivia whispered. I opened it slowly. Inside was a single sheet of paper, legal weight, typed. Notice of familial separation. We, the undersigned, hereby release and relinquish all familial obligations, financial responsibilities, and emotional ties with Evelyn Margaret Castellano, effective immediately upon her graduation from Carnegie Mellon University. This separation is mutual, voluntary, and final. Signed, Victoria L. Castellano, Richard A. Castellano, Olivia M. Castellano. The restaurant noise faded. The string quartet, the clinking. Glasses, everything muted. I read it twice. Then I folded it carefully and set it beside my water glass. My mother was watching me, waiting for tears, maybe. Or anger. I gave her neither. Interesting, I said. Her smile faltered. Evelyn, can I ask you something? She blinked. Of course. Why now? Why not when I was 12 and you donated my birthday gift? Or 16 when you forgot to pick me up from the MIT camp? Or 18 when you told me to figure out my own tuition? Silence. Why wait until I'm about to walk across a stage to tell me I was never really part of this family? My father shifted uncomfortably. Evelyn, you're being dramatic. Am I? I looked at him. You just handed me a legal document disowning me at a restaurant, and I'm the one being dramatic? Olivia lowered her phone. I reached into my bag, pulled out my own envelope, set it on the table. Funny, I said. I brought one for you too. My mother's face went pale. What is that? My father asked. Open it. He did. Inside were 3 documents: a copy of the North Point Logistics acquisition agreement with my name and the purchase price. $6.2 million, a breakdown of my financial portfolio, investments, savings, liquid assets total $2.3 million. An offer letter from North Point Logistics, position, Director of Data Operations, salary $140,000. My father read in silence. My mother's hand trembled as she picked up the acquisition agreement. Olivia's mouth opened, closed, opened again. My mother whispered, you sold a company. I built one, I corrected, and then I sold it for $6 million. Correct. She looked at my father. He was still staring at the papers, his jaw tight. When? He finally asked. I've been working on it for 2 years. We launched last fall. The acquisition closed 2 weeks ago. Why didn't you tell us? I smiled, not warm, not cold, just factual. Why would I? You never asked. The table was silent. Around us, the restaurant hummed. Other families laughed. Clinked glasses, celebrated. We sat in a pocket of frozen air. Evelyn, my mother said carefully, This is incredible. We had no idea. I know. We would have supported you if we'd known. Would you? She stopped. Because from where I'm sitting, you spent 22 years telling me I didn't deserve support, that I was too independent, too capable, that I'd figure it out. I picked up their letter, held it up. So I did. I set it back down. You wanted to formalize my independence. Congratulations. It's been formalized for years. You just didn't notice. My father found his voice. Evelyn, you don't understand. I understand perfectly. I stood up. You measured my worth against Olivia's and decided I came up short. You gave her everything and called it love. You gave me nothing and called it character building. I picked up my bag. Here's the thing about independence, Dad. Once you teach someone they can't rely on you, they stop trying. They build their own systems, their own security, their own life. I looked at my mother. You gave me a disownment letter. I'm giving you the same thing, just with better terms. I pulled out one more document, slid it across the table. It was a single sentence on North Point letterhead. Effective immediately, Evelyn Castellano designates 0 inheritance, 0 emergency contact access, and 0 familial decision-making authority to Victoria, Richard, or Olivia Castellano. Signed by me, notarized. That's my exit contract, I said. No money, no access, no obligations, just like you wanted. I turned to leave. Evelyn, wait, my mother's voice cracked. I stopped, didn't turn around. I built something you couldn't take credit for. I earned something you couldn't claim. And now I'm walking away from people who were never really there. I looked back once at the 3 of them, frozen, pale, small. Congratulations on your independence, too. Then I walked out. Graduation day was clear, bright, the kind of morning that felt like a clean slate. I walked across the stage when they called my name. The dean shook my hand. The crowd applauded. In the 3rd row, I saw Professor Kwan, Marcus, Priya. They were on their feet cheering. The reserve family section, 4 seats prepaid, was empty. I didn't feel sad. I felt light. After the ceremony, Nathan Frost found me outside the auditorium. Congratulations, Evelyn, he said, ready to start Monday. Absolutely. He handed me a folder, welcome packet, office key, parking pass, and this. Inside was a business card. Evelyn Castellano, Director of Data Operations, North Point Logistics. I ran my thumb over the embossed letters. Thank you, I said. He smiled. You earned it. 6 months later, I stood in my new office in downtown Pittsburgh. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the river, a door with my name on it. Route flow had integrated perfectly. North Point's delivery's efficiency was up 90%. Client satisfaction was at an all-time high. I'd been promoted to Vice President of Innovation. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. Evelyn, we need to talk. Please call when you can. I deleted it, then I opened my laptop and pulled up the next project proposal. The screen glowed. The cursor blinked. Outside, the city hummed with life. Thousands of people moving, working, building. I wasn't invisible anymore. I never would be again.